now a little strategy that I've only ever shared before for my platinum members and on the top secret business building retreat that was £7,000 a ticket that we did back in January. Other than that, I've never shared this information before, so you're in for a treat. So when you think about your business, I'm a very process-orientated person, okay? So I'm always interested in not what's this particular individual business made up of, because you know what, fundamentally all businesses are the same. They're all driven by, we want to make more profits. The two ways to make more profits is to increase sales, to decrease expenses. There's only three ways to increase sales. What can you do? You can get more customers, you can get the customers to buy from you more often, or you can get the customers to spend more with each purchase. Does that make sense? So when I think about it, if I go, okay, if the purpose of business is to increase profits, and the only ways to increase profits are to increase sales or decrease expenses. By the way, side note, which of these two things is easiest to do? Increasing sales or decreasing expenses? The easiest way to increase your profits is to decrease your expenses. However, there is a flaw with that model. What is it? You can only go so far. So let's say you've got a business with £100 or £100,000 or £100 million, it doesn't matter, of sales, and you've got 80 of expenses. How much profit are you left with? It's like maths class all over again. You're left with a profit of 20. Fantastic. Now, the interesting bit is, if you were going to double, if everything else stayed constant and you wanted to double that profit, if you were going to double the profits by increasing sales, what would this sales number have to be? 200. So you'd have to double the amount of sales, assuming, let's just for simplicity's sake, assume that the expenses rise in line with that. You're going to end up with 40 profit. Does everyone follow along with that, yeah? However, if you go back to the original numbers, 100, 80, and 20, if you want to double this number, to knock 20 off 80, as in to double the profits, you would only have to reduce this by 25%. Does that make sense? So actually the easiest way to have more money in your back pocket, because by the way, the biggest mistake most people make is get so busy trying to figure out how to sell the thing that they forget that they need to have some money left over at the end of the day. Okay? Now you need to figure out how to sell something first, because if you don't sell anything, then the expenses, you've got no expenses. It's kind of irrelevant. But reducing expenses is the quickest route. But it is limited, because in the perfect business, what's the most you could reduce those expenses by? Yeah, the most you could reduce it by is 80, as in you could reduce the expenses to 0. Which means if you had 100 of sales and 0 of expenses, you're going to have a profit of 80. And it's not going to get any bigger. So then, the focus got to become, or if you're small and just starting out, you've got to have sales first, you've got to increase your sales. Well, there's only 3 ways to do that. What are they? So you can get more customers, good. So you can increase the number of customers. What else can you do? So you can get them to buy more often. And what else? And you can increase the average order value, as in spend more every time they buy. So using a shop as a metaphor, imagine you own a shop. Well, if you want to get more sales, there's 3 ways to do, 3 ways and only 3 ways to do it. You can get more sales. Get more sales. You can get more customers to come into your shop. When they're in the shop, that's the first way. You can get them to put more in their shopping basket. Or you can get them to buy premium versions of the same products. Yeah? As in like buy bigger versions or better bottles of wine or what have you. And the other way is you can persuade them or have ways of getting them to come back to the shop more frequently. Does that make sense? There are no other ways to increase your sales. So really, this weekend, we're showing you low-cost methods of marketing yourself. So in one sense, we're keeping your expenses low. However, most of this weekend is really focused on increasing these 3 things. Now, what I'm interested in is, out of these 3, which one's the most difficult? Getting new customers. Why? Because they don't know you, you've got to build up trust, you've got to find them, they're the least warm to you in the first place. So, if this is the most difficult bit, this is the bit that I'm most keen to automate. Because if there's any job in your business that you do more than 2 or 3 times, you want to look to automate that process. So let's look at it a different way. And I think that you're going to find this exceptionally powerful. I want to say, okay, if we're in this business, most businesses, let's again strip out the content of what your niche is, what it is you do, and let's just look at the process that drives it. So in any business, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to have lead generation. In other words, what that means is you have to have a place where you go to attract potential customers. You all with me on that? You've got to have a strategy to attract potential customers. However, that's not enough. So let's say, let's use the example of, give me a niche. Give me a niche of somebody in the room.
Career coaching.
Career coaching, all right, fantastic. So if you're a career coach and you coach people to better careers, first of all, you've got to find somebody that's what? What type of person have you got to find, Margaret?
Well, I mean, I do interview coaching, so I'm looking for someone, so let's do interview coaching.
Okay, interview coaching.
Yeah, so I mean, people who are looking for advice on how to improve English.
Yes, you're looking for people that are probably either in the process of looking for a new job or will in the future, and they want to improve their interviewing skills so they can be more successful. Fantastic. So you've got to have a way, you've got to have a process by which you get those leads. Okay? Now, once those leads have come to your website, so they now come to your website, for example, and they're reading about you, what do you have to do next? You've got to get their contact details. Very good. So you've got to have lead capture. Okay? Good. Now, you've got the details of the leads. Now, if you're really good and you've captured some leads, what's the natural next step? What do you want to do with those leads once you've got them? Well, you want to keep in contact them for what reason, Margaret? To sell stuff. So in other words, you've got to, I'm going to leave a gap here for a moment, you'll see, for a reason you'll see in a moment, you've got to have lead conversion. In other words, you've got to take those leads that you've captured and you've got to convert them into paying clients. Okay? So now you've got a paying customer. What do you want to do next? What's the next logical thing that you want to be doing with those customers? Sell them more things. Because we've already agreed that getting new customers is the most difficult thing. Listen, if you're in the business of selling somebody a widget and then once they've bought that widget once, they've gone, then you better be really damn good at getting leads. And also, I'll tell you, I know that your business isn't very profitable. Because all the cost is associated with getting them to find you in the first place. All the hard work is in generating those leads. That's why it's so important. Isn't that right, Ethan? It's the most difficult part, which is why if you can automate it and make the numbers stack up, it's effortless, guys. This is where you get to have the magic of why you really got into this business. You don't want to do the grunt work of finding people that might be interested. You want to automate all the crappy stuff at the top and get the benefit of delivering the bits at the bottom that you enjoy.